Charles, I had a swimsuit model in that chair as the last in-studio guest.
I shouldn't be in this
No,
chair.
no. It's okay. Go
That's
ahead.
way above
Chris,
me.
go ahead.
Yeah,
go
we
ahead.
had supermodel Kelly Rohrbach in yesterday.
Sure did.
She looked lovely. She had a great time with Rich.
She looked lovely, yes.
Sitting up there in the chair. We have some images, though, because it looks like she had a better time with someone else. Here's the first photo. She kind of has a look on her face, like, what's he saying? Maybe fitness, something.
I'm very
There's another
confused.
photo.
You
She's
know,
got her drink up. You're looking off. It's like, is this going great?
Is this
What's
going
on?
well?
This is an outrage.
Here's another photo that we had. Like, you're saying something. She's got this look
She's
on her face.
thinking about Bradley Cooper. I'm not really sure.
Interview ends.
Wow.
She goes and meets Mike Del Tufo. Look at the facial expression change on Kelly.
By the way, she's having a fantastic time.
Blast,
Couldn't
arms
be
around
having a
him,
more
embracing
fun
him.
time.
Look at this other one. Here's another candid of the two of them. It's just, it goes from better to better.
Isn't your name on the show?
We
I
don't
mean,
know what
how
happened
do they do this?
during the interview yesterday.
You know what this is called? Happy horse shit. That's what this is.
I like it. I can't believe you didn't retire the chair.
I'm sabotage. You say sabotage, I say sabotage.
I say so.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. He is part of the NFL Network's draft coverage in Chicago 2 weeks from now. He's a good friend, a longtime friend of the program, as well as the NFL Media Group. Charles Davis, good to see you, sir. How
Great
are
to
you?
see you
Thanks
as
for coming
well.
back.
Thanks for having me back.
So I promised a listener earlier in the week that this would be my first question for you when you came
Yes.
here. Todd Gurley, what's his scoop coming into this draft? What's going on with him?
The medical retest takes place in Indianapolis this weekend, Friday, Saturday. Remember at the Combine, he didn't allow anyone to test his knee. Don't touch it, which is a great move on his part. He didn't need 32 teams poking and prodding on rehab.
Right.
From what I've heard, the rehab is progressing very well, that there's a very good chance that he'll be pretty well ready for training camp, although they'll proceed slowly with him. If the medical recheck comes back well, he's a lock for the first round. It's just a matter of where.
But I don't think anybody's drafting him to be this year's version of Eddie Lacy.
Right.
Like coming out of the gates, rookie running back, just absolutely crushing it. It's year 2 through 6 and 7 where he can dominate the league, a lot of people believe. Would you agree?
I would
that he
agree.
can?
I would agree with that, and they might be able to get use for him if you're a big-time team with postseason aspirations. You get in November, December.
Yeah.
You might be able to all of a sudden have the fresh legs hitting you.
Right.
And here comes Todd Gurley churning it out as you make a playoff push. That's why when I'm looking now with all the mock drafts, which way do we go with Gurley? Maybe he's not the frontline guy. Maybe he becomes the second guy for a while. But boy, what great insurance he would be.
Right. And so the question is the medical retest, that's it, essentially, as to whether he might be available, say, for, let's just choose Dallas at 27th.
exactly.
Overall. And if he's there, Dallas would jump all over him, correct?
That would be one of those times where we're sitting there at the table saying, why are we waiting 10 minutes?
Right, that would be it.
Just turn the card in and let's go. Or however they're doing it nowadays, just announce it from wherever and let's call it a day.
Is Melvin Gordon the first running back off the board then? Or could Gurley even
Gurley
go?
could still be the first running back off the board. Don't be surprised, 16 at Houston. I know it doesn't seem like the right thing. I remember somebody was saying, hold on a second. 16 years, you got Arian Foster, Alfred Blue ran well.
Right.
Don't be surprised. Gurley could very well be there.
No kidding.
That would not shock me at all.
With the Texans having so much going on.
Would not
and needing
surprise me
to
a
fill
bit.
so many holes, potentially.
It's not a matter of, do we have a player? Can you still improve? Would you take Alfred Blue at his best? Todd Gurley at his best? He's way better than that.
Charles Davis joining me here on the program. Last time you were here is when we first floated a balloon on this show. You were the first one to let the balloon loose of the Phillip Rivers from San Diego to an already drafted Marcus Mariota by Tennessee and flipping it. Now that we're less than 2 weeks to go, do you think that that's possible?
It's still possible.
So?
Still
More
possible.
So?
I don't know about more so. When I hear Phillip Rivers say, I don't want to go to Los Angeles, I don't think that's all there is to it. I mean, it's not a huge leap going from San Diego to Los Angeles.
I know.
I think it's more. He feels like when he looks around the league, he sees guys that he had that are no longer there. And are we doing enough to keep those guys around that will make us that team that can push towards a Super Bowl? And I think he wants to hear more of that coming from San Diego. And I think that, to me, that's more of it than the idea of let's get home closer to Decatur, Alabama, and all the other stuff that goes along with it.
So what would it take, though? I mean, would it be as simple as Mariota's picked second overall? Now we're sitting there in the auditorium 2 weeks from last night waiting for word.
Right.
As 3 and 4 and 5 go off. Jacksonville and then Oakland, Washington, Jets. We're waiting to hear word to see if there's anybody like that to pop up and trade with Tennessee. If it is San Diego, it would be when the Titans know if they've got a guy that they want at 17 that San Diego could take for them. Is it before that? And then what plus Phillip Rivers must go to Tennessee for that deal to be taken? Because it's not just Phillip and our first rounder swapping first rounders,
to
right?
swap that, you're talking about, you got to look at players. We're easily into a second at that point. Remember, what was RG3 for just a slot was what, 2 firsts and a couple of seconds and the whole deal. I don't think we get that high, but a first and a second at a minimum is what we're talking about.
A future
there.
in addition.
Future in addition, I would think would be there. The flip for them, player, yes. But I think you're going to have to slip past Cleveland with the 2 picks, still sitting there.
Would they really go ahead with Manziel coming out of rehab, giving out a statement today, having McCown, as we all know, needs to be the veteran just in case somebody gets hurt, as well as to teach people how to be professionals in the National Football League? We get what he's there for. Would they go ahead and throw Mariota in that mix by trading 2 firsts to get up to go get him?
I think that they are kicking that around like mad.
Right now.
They are kicking it around like they have to. Here's why. You and I are of the vintage of saying, okay, who was the last quarterback in Cleveland that you trusted that was that guy? That'd be Kosar, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It'd have to be Kosar because Tim Couch took such a beating early, got hurt. We never really got to see the best because everybody forgets that was an expansion team.
I guess I'm not going to say Kelly Holcomb. You
right.
know, I mean, I'm not going to say that.
That's where we are. So when we're saying who's it got to be, I mean, we're darn near saying, where's Otto Graham when you need him? I mean, that's where they are. They have not gotten this right in so long. And the number 22 is about the only good thing about this, that they're not drafting at 22 because they've been, 3 times at 22 with a quarterback and it hasn't worked? They've got to get this thing right at some point. And Manziel does not give you enough, well, Johnny's out of rehab and we're ready to rock and roll. Well, they might have taken our bite at the apple.
And that's what McCown's there for. I mean,
I understand.
To
try and guide you through.
I understand. I mean, if McCown was signed off of what he did in Chicago, people in Cleveland might not be going, well, why Josh McCown?
Right.
It's what we saw last year in Tampa when he got the opportunity based off of what he did in Chicago, with a former Chicago coach now being there, and we saw what he did with that, and it was he crapped out. There's no other way to put it.
And he's a placeholder.
Charles Davis is here. We're going to take a 60-second break. When we come back, talk more NFL draft that kicks off in Chicago 2 weeks from last night.
Yeah.
844-204-RICH is also the number to dial if you want to ask Charles a question. We might take it. That's here on The Rich Eisen Show. Welcome back to The Rich Eisen Show. Charles Davis is here with me, and we're going to be together in Chicago at the NFL Network's coverage of the NFL Draft. It's coming in a couple weeks. It's going to be a heck of a spot where, draft tables out there in Grant Park, tented just in case it's bad weather. If it's not bad weather, there could be 250,000 people out there around draft tables certainly on the Saturday of the draft, which is it's going to be great.
Just the idea of something different, something new.
Sure.
And what Chicago can bring that time of year, great city.
Well, I mean,
the
Super Bowl in Indianapolis showed how football fans came from all over Big Ten country. And it's Big Ten crazy football country there.
Yes.
Big Ten is obviously, we all know, the world champion, The Ohio State University is there.
Ohio State
but fans from Minnesota will be coming. And I just can't wait till when the Jets are on the clock and there's crickets. Right?
Yeah.
Because maybe three loud guys from Queens took the trip maybe out there.
Deal.
But when the Packers are on the clock,
Vikings,
Colts,
Bears, Colts. I mean, this is a whole different ballgame.
Even Rams. I mean, the Rams are down the road.
St. Louis.
When St. Louis, I mean, when was the last time when St. Louis is on the clock, there's a buzz in the draft
Remember when the Rams
auditorium?
used to train in Illinois? Was it Macomb, Illinois, at the campus of Western Illinois? So, look,
the Vikings are on the clock.
This is going to be a different deal, different vibe. But just the idea of people around and closer to you, and darn near touching your set. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chicago's just such a great city.
Yeah, and Charles Davis is here with me in studio. Rick in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You're on the Rich Eisen Show with Charles Davis. Rick?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Big fan of both of you.
Thank you.
By the way, Rich, you did a great job last night on the last couple. And just so you know, I'll be your eyes here in South Florida.
Okay.
As I drive the streets of South Florida, I'm looking for your production truck that was stolen. So,
that one went away a long time ago, Rick. We're not expecting to see that anymore. What's your question for Charles?
Question for my beloved Dolphins at 14. We got choice of Waynes, Parker. My personal choice is Todd Gurley to help Lamar Miller. I think you had him taking a guard. I don't want another offensive lineman at 14. What do you think about my beloved Dolphins? And also Arizona, what do you think they might do?
Rick in Florida. Want to know Dolphins at 14 and then the Arizona later on in the second half of the first round.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of them don't like me having a guard there. If there's a big-time receiver there, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go there. And when I say big-time receiver, does Devontae Parker make it that far? I have my doubts. I think he's going to go a little bit higher. Will they elevate Brashad Perryman there? And he wants Gurley there. Gurley would probably be there for the taking at 14 if they want them. I would think out wide would go first to help Tannehill before they'd come back inside with a running back there.
Let's say one of the quarterbacks on your draft board that's 3 through 5. Mm-hmm. How do you have those guys, by the way?
I've got them. 3 for me is Brett Hundley, UCLA. Okay. 4 is Bryce Petty, Baylor. 5 is Garrett Grayson, Colorado State. Sean Mannion hanging just off the outside.
2 weeks from tonight, then, is rounds 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Did the Dolphins go and pull a trigger in one of those 2 rounds for one of those guys, or because this is it now?
Yeah, for Tannehill.
Yes, this is it.
Would not be a surprise. I just talked with a personnel director last night, and I said, how high? And he said, none of the other 3 quarterbacks, in his estimation, should go before round 3. But it's our league. They will get pushed up there. So that wouldn't be a surprise at all.
Let's go to Tyler. Tyler in Iowa. You're on the Rich Eisen Show. Tyler? You there, Tyler?
Hello?
Yeah, Tyler, you're on the air, brother. You're on with Charles Davis. What's your question, Tyler?
Hey, my question is, I know there's a lot of speculation going around with Philip Rivers coming to Tennessee, and I guess my take is on it, I don't know why we'd want a guy that's only got maybe 2-3 years left in the tank, where we could either trade back with Cleveland and get some picks to help Zach Mettenberg succeed, or go with Marcus Mariota and kind of bring a buzz back to the organization. Just your thoughts, I guess.
Thanks for the call, Tyler. Here's my thought. If I can get Phillip Rivers, I get him yesterday.
Yeah.
I get him yesterday. And I don't say that there's 2, 3, 4 years left in the tank. Take a look at Tom Brady at age 37.
And the way these guys go about their fitness now and how they play. And he loves playing football. You can tell Phillip Rivers loves the game.
You get him yesterday.
Trying to kick him out. The best way I can explain it is this, and it goes based on Ken Wisenhunt's past history. When he got Kurt Warner and decided to insert him in the lineup when the Matt Leinart thing was not working for them, did anyone have Arizona advancing to the playoffs? Did anyone have Arizona going deep? Did anyone have Arizona going to the Super Bowl? That's what they can do for you, all right? That's what that transformation at that position can bring everything else together. That's why you make that kind of move, and you make the move, and you're not trying to project. You have someone who's going to come in and right away you're one of those teams.
But if that Phillip Rivers thing doesn't happen, I would, if I was Tennessee, find the team that is most in love with Marcus Mariota
and make my deal
and hold them up
and make the deal. That's what you have to do.
And fill in,
and you're going to get players.
And see if Mettenberger can be your guy this year. You give him a full shot at it, and if not, then there's more kids in the pipeline potentially.
In my last mock, I gave Tennessee Mariota.
You did.
I had been adamant that there's no way Tennessee was taking Mariota. I'd been adamant about this.
So what happened?
I spent an hour on the phone with someone I really trust near that organization. And they said it's not as far-fetched as you would think, not even close. Like his tape, like the character of the kid. He did a fantastic job in there in the interview, retains information well, a little more fire in him than what you see on the front end, that they're entertaining the idea more and more. It's a mock draft. I went with it. So the possibility exists. Truth of the matter is, for everything we've seen from Wiz, Mettenberger fits him better. The way he plays, his style of play fits him better. And you go Mettenberger, as you said, you hold up someone else, you get some more pieces. Tennessee tries to make a move.
So you're saying your mock draft is not real?
A mock draft is
sometimes
a mock draft.
every time I see a mock draft, I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't even go to Chicago. I get those cold sweat dreams. Like, did I miss the draft? Oh my God.
You know what I told someone the other day? I said,
Yeah.
you got to take a look at mock drafts, and you've got to see scenarios in people's mock drafts. You
But the
can't
mock-
just take a mock draft
can't, of
and
course,
say that this is the absolute. Look, in one of my mock drafts, my scenario was Mariota and Winston, which teams fit them best for personalities and what they've had in the past. That's why I had Winston going 10 to St. Louis. How great would that be to him work under Jeff Fisher, work in that city as opposed to everywhere else? That was one theme. This one, instead of Leonard Williams going 4 to the Raiders, which, look, if he gets to 4 to the Raiders, there's no way they're passing on him.
Well, in that
I said, let's go offense, because everybody went offense last year.
Sure.
Look what they did. And it changes up what you're doing a mock.
Chris in North Carolina, you're here on the Rich Eisen Show, sort of weaves into what Charles Davis just said, your question here.
Yeah, my question is, I was just listening to you guys, and I was wondering, do you think that Raiders could possibly do that trade? Maybe get out of 4 with Cleveland and get maybe a 12 and a 19 and hopefully hook up maybe Devontae Parker and then possibly like a Landon Collins.
Yeah, what do you
guys
think the chances are that the Raiders are that linchpin spot, the Mariota
that's
sort of
that's
breaking
not one that's
point?
been mentioned very often, but the Raiders could hit that spot because at 5, we're still trying to figure out if
There's
Washington's going to be able to pull that
no
off.
way. There's
You and I
way.
talked about this last
Could
time.
they
Didn't we
really?
pretty much agree?
Come on.
That owner's not going to make that move.
RG3,
The
this
owner's
is
not
it.
going to make that move.
This is
But if people believe it, 4 at Oakland, you better go deal with them.
Look, we could sit here and say they could be coy all they want.
They're not doing
in my mind. Now, who knows, right? Everything
think
is
they're
always
doing it.
possible. But this is go or no go time. Last time for RG3, last chance saloon. They didn't pick up his option, or they're not gonna, right?
Yep.
And this is it. This is it. And if it's not him, then they can move on. But to go ahead and say, just in case this isn't it for you, guess what we're going to do? We're going to add Marcus Mariota to the mix.
Because to me, there is no just in case. If you take Mariota, you deal.
That's it.
You
It's
got
over.
to deal RG3.
You have
don't
to.
have them in the same team.
Would somebody take him? Would you take him?
Oh yeah, somebody.
For the 1-year rental
You're
and
darn
throw
right.
and have him learn their offense
You're
and have
darn
him part of
right.
the mix,
Why
or
not?
compete for a job?
Why not? It's a 1-year, almost no risk deal. 1 year, it works. It's great. If it doesn't,
What would it be for a 4th?
See, I'm down to-
and then Washington would just have to eat it. When
And you
all
gotta
the
eat
stories saying after all this, you got a 4th back from a 5th,
At that-
3rd maybe if
at
you're
that
lucky.
point, Jeff Fisher walks those guys out for the coin toss again, which is one of the all-time great moves of last year.
Fantastic. You got a question for him before he goes
Yeah,
out the
you
door?
mentioned Sean Mannion as your 6th overall from
Yeah.
Oregon State. Why has he kind of, I don't want to say slipped. I know he had a great junior season, but he's a 4-year starter, played in a pro-style offense under Riley, who's obviously at Nebraska now. What is his pro potential? Like, do you have a comparison on him,
Mike Glennon,
Glennon?
body type, delivery, over-the-top guy, much more schooled in the pro-style stuff because of Mike Riley, because of what they did at Oregon State. Remember what he lost over the last 2 years
Yeah.
now? He lost Marcus Wheaton
Brandon
2 years
Cooks.
ago. He lost Brandon Cooks last year. They couldn't run the ball very well, even though they had some talented runners. One of the guys who may very well pop up on day 3 near the end, but offensive line was tough. He took a lot of hits last year, so it wasn't quite the same. Some people have Mannion in their top 5. I have him just outside of
So
mine,
it's like
so he's right in
3
there.
to 5 range?
He's right in that
Around
mix.
3
It's
to
really
5?
pick your flavor, as you know.
Okay.
Garrett Grayson, I talked to a scout last night, actually a personnel director, and he said Garrett Grayson's the most ready out of them, but maybe the most average athlete out of them. And in a league now with those pass rushers who are as athletic as all get out, are you going to risk it that way with him? Like, Grayson can go right in tomorrow and run your pro-style offense. But will he be able to maneuver your team downfield at the rate that you're hoping to get from a Hundley, a Petty down the road is a much better athlete than you think. Mannion with his big arm who can throw it downfield.
Do you want to answer the poll question?
I'd
before we
love
you
to
the
get
door?
involved in that one.
RichEisenshow.com. Go for it, Brockman. Go for it. What do you
All
got?
right, Chuck D. Who's the best baseball movie character? Crash Davis, Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn, Ray Kinsella, Field of Dreams, Morris Buttermaker, Bad News Bears, Roy Hobbs, The Natural.
Best character?
Character.
I'm a product of this time. Crash Davis for me, dispensing the life lessons. Although when Buttermaker passes out on the bump there during the practice,
Yeah.
one of the all-timers, and when he has to move the beer around to get Amanda's elbow in.
Nice. Tatum O'Neal.
Tatum O'Neal,
Tatum
yeah.
O'Neal. Got my curve breaking 2.5 feet, Boilermaker. I mean, it's hard
She's selling
to beat
star
that.
maps, right?
Huh?
That's what she was selling, star maps.
I mean, she's selling the maps and the whole deal, and he had to buy her the jeans, and I mean, what a deal she cut out of the whole thing.
No kidding. Crash Davis, 21% right now. Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn, 43%.
Good to see you, Charles.
Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn, 43%.
Yeah, number one.
Well, where was that last league? California penal system.
That's just good stuff.
California
Good to
Penal
see you,
League.
Charles.
Thank you.
That's Charles Davis.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.